is something genuinely deranged about people who race mix, and the more contrasting the mix, the more pronounced this is. The average person has a biological bias towards people who look like themselves. This is called in-group preference. In-group preference is why mixed marriage rates remain so low in spite of the media incessantly promoting it. So the outliers who mix don't share the typical group preferences of the average person, suggesting some kind of psychological defect. So for the sake of this conversation, I've created something called the racial uncanny valley. Buckle up, people, we're gonna have fun with this one. So here you have the white person, here you have the dominant white mix, the half and half, and then you go progressively down the valley all the way to the Aboriginal Australian. Yikes. Look, I understand why a white guy would say maybe marry a light-skinned Hispanic woman, perhaps a Persian broad even. You can clearly see the physical similarity. We're on the bank of the valley, but we're not tumbling down towards the missing link. But this, there is just something viscerally wrong with this. It's off-putting, and the comments on Instagram clearly agree with me. Peak example of no in-group preference. I've noticed that mixed people and members of mixed families seem to exhibit higher rates of antisocial behaviors. And this is regardless of socioeconomic background. In my experience, obviously, and it's not all of them, but it's enough that my brain has saved it as a pattern. That's just your personal anecdote. Shh. It's almost like you don't always need a study and you can sometimes make accurate observations on your own. This isn't simply conjecture though. Studies on mixed race people actually back up my point. Mental illness is more common within mixed race people. They also have higher rates of violence and drug use. I always thought, well, it must be the mixing itself, believing there was some sort of genetic incompatibility that just fried the brains of these people. But it isn't all of them. And you can even see these antisocial behaviors within the non-mixed members of the family, even the white ones. So it's more likely that people who have antisocial traits or have a mental illness are more likely to race mix rather than race mixing itself being causal here. So why is this? Studies show that people with higher in-group preference have higher levels of serum oxytocin. Higher oxytocin levels correspond with higher levels of empathy and cooperation. It also makes people more protective of their group and more wary of outsiders. Lower oxytocin is associated with lower empathy and reductions in social motivation. It's weird, right, that the people with the lower empathy are more likely to race mix? Lower oxytocin is partly genetic and strongly associated with almost every single psychiatric condition. This state can also be caused by high stress and trauma. To me, none of this sounds good, but give me your opinion in the comments.